What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Fitment Industries Garage, or if you're a subscriber, welcome back. Good to see you. Today we have yet another episode of What Wheels Fit to bring you guys, and on today's episode, we are going to be narrowing down and going over what wheels fit the Hawkeye generation of the Subaru WRX. Now, before we go ahead and get right into it, please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget, once you watch this video and know what wheels are going to fit your Hawkeye WRX, don't forget to check us out over at fitmentindustries.com. Help out the guys that help you out, and check out all the wheel, tire, and suspension options that we have available over there for you. The Hawkeye generation of the Subaru WRX was a facelift that captured the hearts of many enthusiasts and had a limited run from the years 2006 to 2007, where in 2008, it was replaced by the next generation of the WRX. Sharing a lot of similarities with the blob eye and bug eye years, the fitment stays relatively the same as well. First things first, for the Hawkeye Subaru WRX, we have a general fitment range that gives us a diameter ranging from 17 to 18 inches. Widths from 7 to 8.5 inches, and an offset landing anywhere between plus 35 and plus 55. And then we're also looking at a bolt pattern of 5x100. So overall, not a massive range here like we see in some of the other cars that we've covered, but still enough of a range. It can change the fitment drastically. So what we're gonna do is take a look at some of the WRXs that are sitting in the fitment gallery right now over at fitmentindustries.com and dive into what wheel, tire, and suspension setups that they are running on these cars. Starting with some more general or conservative aftermarket setups as far as fitment goes, and then working our way up to some more and more aggressive examples. The first few cars that we are going to look at are going to be for those who want an aftermarket setup for their car but don't want to have to worry about ruining the daily drivability of it. So things like fender rolling, rubbing, or having to buy any additional suspension components won't be an issue. That being said, let's get into the first WRX of the day, which is going to be this 2006 with some NK Kojin wheels. Now these are a size of 17x8 with a plus 45 offset. For the tires, we have some Firestone Firehawk Indy 500s with a size of 215/45, and then for the suspension, we have some good old BC Racing coilovers. No rubbing, no fender rolling needed, and we are getting a slightly tucked, almost nearly flush fitment with this setup. These cars are pretty finicky actually when it comes to having their fenders rolled, meaning that even going up a little bit in that width or dropping that offset, you're going to have to get your fenders rolled, or at least look at it. But with this car in this setup, that's not the case. Next up, we have something similar, however, bumping up to an 18-inch diameter. We have a 2007 with some NK Ryzen wheels, 18x8 with a plus 45 offset. Again, we see some Firestone Firehawk Indy 500 tires, 225/40 for the size on these, and then some Race Comp Engineering coilovers for the suspension choice. Similar fitment to the last car we just looked at, however, a little bit of a thicker tire, and then of course going up from that 17 to an 18-inch diameter. Again, still no fender rolling required or rubbing issues on this car. Next up, we have a 2007 with some Avid One AV27s. Now these are getting a little bit wider and dropping that offset a bit. We are looking at an 18x8.5 with a plus 35 offset, paired with a 225/40 Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tire, and then sitting on some Cobb lowering springs. Getting a nearly flush fitment here, and it looks like the rear fenders are rolled to make some room and to get rid of some of rubbing issues. Like I said, as soon as you start moving up from about that 8-inch wheel and you get below that plus 40 offset, you're going to start to have to make some room with your fenders. Moving right along here, we get to the 2007 with some ESR CS11 wheels. Now these are an 18x8.5, but this time with a plus 30 offset. Some Nanking NS25 tires, 245/45 for the size, and then sitting on some Godspeed Project coilovers. A very flush fitment with this setup, and we see that the fenders are rolled to make that work. Still, however, getting slight rub at full turn up front. We get to this 2007 on some Volks CE28Ns, 18x9.5 with a plus 40 offset, wrapped in some Hankook Ventus RS4 tires, 245/40 for the size, and then sitting on some MCA coilovers. So getting more aggressive here as we go with the fitment. As we can see, a wider wheel, the flush fitment is requiring the fenders to be rolled and even pulled to make some extra room. However, that has seemed to resolve any of the rubbing issues on this car, as it does not list that it has any. We do also see -2 degrees of camber up front to help out as well. Overall, if you're looking for your standard daily or good flush fitment, you're going to be finding yourself looking at either a 17 or an 18-inch diameter wheel with a width of either 8 or 8.5, and then picking between an offset of plus 45 or plus 40. That would be a good starting point to base it off of. If you want to get a little more aggressive, by all means, go ahead, maybe drop a tire size or just have to deal with rolling your fenders. Of course, if you want to take things to the next level and really start to dial in that fitment on your car, we got you covered there as well. As the next few cars we're going to take a look at are some of the wider and more aggressive fitments of a stock body Hawkeye that are sitting in our gallery right now. First up on the list, we have a 2007 with some ESR SR08s. Now these are an 18 by 9.5 with a plus 22 offset, paired with a Federal 595 tire, 225/35 for the size, and actually giving us our first example of the day on some air suspension, as this car is sitting on some airlift performance. Other details here list that the fenders have been rolled, and this car is running 5 degrees of negative camber in the rear and 3 degrees of negative camber in the front to help get that fitment dialed in. Up next, we have a similar setup with this 2006. For wheels, we're looking at some Kansei Corsas, 18 by 9.5 plus 22 again with a 225/40 tire, and then again sitting on some airlift performance. Fenders both rolled and pulled on this car, running about negative 3.5 degrees of camber all around. Rear camber bolts to help with that as well. Getting wider here, we have a 2007 with some NK NT03 double Rs, 18 by 10 with a plus 22 offset, wrapped in some Nankang NS20 tires, 225/35, and then sitting on some 326 Power Japan coilovers. So a static setup running negative 4 degrees and negative 5 degrees in the rear, and the fenders are rolled. And then to close out the day, probably the widest example that we currently have sitting in the gallery right now for this generation of WRX, this 2006 with some work VSX wheels, 18 by 10.5 with a negative 25 offset, paired with a set of Achilles ATR sport tires, 225/35, and then setting aired out with the help of airlift performance. With this wide of a setup, we see quite a bit of work done here, coming in the form of additional suspension pieces, some metal trimming to make extra room, and of course a ton of camber. So there you have it, some great examples of what people are running on this generation of the Subaru WRX. If you're interested in looking at more examples, or maybe didn't see anything that really was specifically what you were looking for, feel free to hop on over to fitmentindustries.com. Check out the gallery for yourself. It's where we pulled all this information from. You can find hundreds of more examples of WRXs sitting over there right now. It's got all this information listed. Like I said, it's where we gather all the information for these videos from. It's a fantastic tool to help you guys find out what you want to do for your next wheels, tires, or suspension. Don't forget, fitmentindustries.com for all that sort of good stuff. I'm Gels. We will see you later. Peace.